Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest, 8-Second Gaming, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down about 6 controller tips for all you roller players out there. Because I think we all know that controller players absolutely dominate the scene. There's a lot of them right now, and by the end of this video you guys will have a few more tips and tricks to add to your arsenal. And if you guys are here watching this video, it's very clear that you want to get better at Apex, you want to improve. And if that's the case, then there is no better place than the GameLeap website. Over there, we have top-level coaches creating the best guides and courses, up to 10 videos a week. All those videos are site exclusive, and yes guys, they do appeal to console players as well. You can take all the knowledge and throw it into your console games. So if you're really looking to get better at Apex and become an absolute dominant force in the lobbies, click the link in the description, pick yourself up a membership, and start to improve today. Now, the first thing that we're going to have to talk about is putting your crouch button on hold. I see a lot of people keeping this on toggle, and that can actually hurt your movement. Putting it on hold allows you to crouch spam a lot better because you're hitting the button faster, making you a lot more unpredictable and a lot harder to hit in fights. I think if you guys have gone up against a crouch spammer, you know how effective it is in those set engagements. So if you want to crouch spam like that, you gotta put it on hold. But that's not all, it also makes it easier to bunny hop. If you're not having it on toggle, then you have a lot more control of your character in the bunny hops. And you'll overall just have a lot more control of your character, so yeah, put your crouch button on hold. Now speaking of buttons, that's leading into tip number 2, your button layout needs to go onto button puncher. Now this is just for the general public. If you have paddles or something like that, you'll definitely want to use a custom layout. But for the most part, a lot of people don't play paddles, they don't feel the need to learn them, so button puncher is the best layout for you. This puts your melee on buttons and crouch on sticks. You don't want to be taking your hand off the sticks if possible if you're needing to crouch. Now this does lead to some panic punches when you're first getting used to it if you get shot out of a death box or a replicator or just something like that. But the growing pains of getting used to it are definitely worth it. In the long run, this is definitely a better layout to grow as a player, so it is worth getting used to. Now next up, tip number 3, we're going to be taking a look into sensitivity. Now for the most part, I see a lot of controller players wanting to absolutely crank their sensitivity. And I kind of get where they're coming from. Higher sensitivity means you can whip your camera around and it looks a lot more flashy when you're doing your movement techs. But this is actually causing you to miss a lot more of your shots. You need to lower your sensitivity. Yeah, movement's really cool, but if you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat, then it's not really worth it. You look really cool until you start shooting the gun. One thing that you controller players need to keep in mind is the lower your sensitivity, the more aim assist picks up. Those aim assist values allow you to be more consistent in your fight, so if you're missing a lot of shots, just lower your sensitivity a bit. Go into the firing range, play around with it a little bit, figure out what works best for you, and then start to incorporate movement techs with the lower sensitivity afterwards. But now you may be wondering, what about ALC? Should I be looking into those? And that leads directly into tip number 4. ALC or advanced look controls is not always worth it. I see a lot of people diving into ALC trying to min-max everything about their aim when they're just kind of casual players and it won't really affect them. Don't overcomplicate your sensitivity if you don't have to. If you're just trying to play the game to have fun, use regular sensitivity. They work perfectly fine. Sometimes players will hop into Twitch streams and look at their ALC settings and copy them exactly. But those ALC settings are what works for them and their controller. Everybody's different and everybody's controller is different. ALC is something that you need to look into, really dive deep for your personal needs and your own controller too. So copying someone's directly one for one may sometimes work out, but oftentimes it doesn't. And it leads you to miss more shots when you could have been fine just using regular settings. And I'm willing to bet that there's a couple people watching this video right now that swapped to ALC settings because they heard they were better, didn't know what to use, copied someone, and now they're missing more shots, so they're looking at what they did wrong. If that's you, let me know in the comments. But now that we have your sensitivity figured out, we can jump into tip number 5 and helping you hit more shots. And I know that a lot of controller players are a little bit upset because they can't jitter aim. It's something that helps M&K players hit more shots at longer distances, but what if I told you that you could actually do something better on controller? There is a technique out there called recoil smoothing, and this actually gets rid of every single bit of recoil on the gun within I think about 150 meters. But on top of getting rid of all the recoil, you also don't have to shake your screen. In order to do this, you just have to counter aim. So if you're moving your reticle to the right, move your character to the left, or if you're aiming to the left, move your character to the right. It's very simple and very easy to do. It's better than jitter aiming and it will help you hit a lot more shots in your fights. The only issue with this though is there is a range limit to it. Jitter aiming, you can use it as far as you want. With recoil smoothing, there is a little bit of a limitation to it, so keep that in mind. Then now moving into tip number 6, we have to talk about your mindset. I see a lot of controller players going into every single game thinking that they are at a disadvantage because they're going up against mouse and keyboard players. They think that M&K players have every single advantage on them when that isn't true. And actually thinking like that is bringing you down a lot. And if you think that you're going to lose, you're probably going to lose. Your mindset is hurting you way more than anything else. Yes, mouse and keyboard has its benefits, I'm not trying to say that, but controller also has benefits as well. If controller players were actually at such a huge disadvantage that a lot of casual players think they are, they wouldn't be dominant in the ALGS. A lot of pro teams want a controller player, at least one on their team, to help them in those close range fights. By just strengthening your mental a little bit, you'll start to go into games with a better mindset. That better mindset of, hey, I'm gonna kill everyone in this lobby, will help you actually succeed. It's something that I had to deal with when I first started getting into higher tier lobbies. I thought, oh my god, I'm playing against the best of the best right now. I'm not good enough to be here, and then I would die in scrims and lose my team points. But over time that I realized that that mindset was setting me back so far. So now whenever I go into scrims, I always have the mindset, I'm better than these people, I can do this. And that has helped me grow as a player exponentially, so changing your mindset will help you guys in the future. Now, this is a method that I use to strengthen my mentality whenever I go into game. It might not work for you, so you might have to think of something on your own, but this is just a quick little tip. If I ever start to get a weak mental where I think that I can't do this, I start to think about all the times where I've actually proven myself. I think about the times that I've killed TSM members. I think about the times that I've won and absolutely dominated in scrims. I think about all the times that I've had to fight the best that Apex has to offer. And when I remember that, I start to really strengthen my mental because I've proven myself in the past. And then after that, I start to get into a better mood and I start to actually believe in myself again. So if you're going into games as a controller player and you don't think that you can do this against mouse and keyboard players, just think back to times where you absolutely spat on a mouse and keyboard player. Or if you think that you're at disadvantages, just remember times that you had better movement or you just out-aimed somebody. Think back to those times and then maybe your mental will come back to you. But now I want to toss a question out to you guys, the community. Who is your favorite controller player in Apex? It could be anybody, but for me personally, I think Jen Burton is my favorite. He absolutely changed the way that people look at controller players. He actually was at the point where a lot of people thought he was cheating and he had to prove himself that he wasn't. He's just human aimbot, and every time I've had to go up against him in game, I've been made to look like a fool. So yeah, he's my favorite controller player. But let me know yours in the comments down below. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did and you want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I will see you in the next one.